All right, welcome everyone. We are having folks join us now. We have about 80 folks that are signed up for this webinar, so hopefully we get more throughout our time together. What we are doing now is just sharing who we are in the chat, saying hello to everyone, and giving some shout outs in regards to where we're from. Where are we around the state of Michigan? And I'll give you about 30 more seconds, and we're going to get ahead and get started. Miss Lottie Larkins from Lincoln Middle School, nice to see you on. Hello, hello. Yes, love to get some shout outs. Where are we from? Where are we representing the state of Michigan or beyond? Jessica Brooklyn. All right. Well, as folks join, just keep adding who you are, saying your little hellos. I'm going to go ahead and get started because we have very limited time together, but a lot of good information to share with you all. Welcome to the webinar called Data Driven, Student Focused Tools to Boost Post-Secondary Outcomes. Just so you know, this webinar is in partnership with the Michigan School Counselor Association, Study Smart Tutors, and Hatching Results. So for those of you Michiganders who do not know who I am, my name is Terry Torzinski. I serve as the Senior Director of Partner Development for Hatch Results. Hatch Results, just to give a little context, is a national school counseling consulting company. So we work with school districts, county offices of education, and state departments of education to build comprehensive school counseling programs. So definitely been honored and blessed to do this work across the country, but probably more honored and blessed to be in the state of Michigan. So I currently live in Battle Creek, Michigan. I'm from Muskegon originally. I served as your president of the Michigan School Counselor Association for several years. I had just passed on those privileges to someone else, so I'm done now in that role, but definitely enjoyed that time. And during my time as a school counselor, I was named the 2017 National School Counselor of the Year. So super excited to be here with you all today to bring some exciting new opportunities for the state of Michigan. And I have my friend Julia here, so I'm going to let her introduce herself and share a little bit about Study Smart Tutors.
Good morning, everyone. After Michigan, I'm scared to say, but I'm from LA, but I love Michigan. Let's put it that way. I am Julia Odabash. I'm serving as the Chief Strategy Officer with Study Smart Tutors. And before joining the Study Smart, I spent about 8 years as a middle and high school counselor in Los Angeles. And career in college readiness has always been close to my heart, not just as an educator, but also as a parent. So I'm very active in my community, supporting the first gen and immigrant families. And I did a big research about the first gen students retention. So today's topic is especially I am so passionate about it. So Study Smart, our company, has been serving students for over 15 years in more than 20 states with the mission to close the opportunity gaps for first gen students and historically underserved communities. So we take the whole students K through 12 approach, combining with social emotional learning and data driven intervention with high impact tutoring, college career readiness program. And we also do data-driven professional development for teacher and school counselor. I am super excited to be here. I'm so glad to be here, and let's get started.
All right. Thank you, Julia. Just honored to be in this collaborative space with everyone. So just a couple logistics as we get started. This is a webinar format, but we will be utilizing the chat. I have a couple of team members here from Hatch Results. So if you have any questions during the course of the webinar, feel free to utilize the chat and we'll be able to answer some of those questions. And if we can't answer them during the webinar, we'll be sure to follow up at a later time. So what we will be doing today is discussing a few different things. First and foremost, we want to look at some tools and strategies to enhance the delivery of college and career readiness initiatives and programming. That will be the focus of what we'll be doing today. Alongside that, we have to make sure that we're looking at some data, right? So we're going to identify data metrics that can be used to measure post-secondary success in K-12 settings. So there will be a little bit of learning here at the beginning of the webinar. And then towards the end of the webinar, we are actually going to talk about some professional development opportunities for school counselors that focus on utilizing data to assess post-secondary outcomes. So I know being in the state of Michigan myself, those 50 college and career sketches can be somewhat of a challenge at times, especially in regards to receiving very relevant and applicable professional development. We have an opportunity, the Michigan School Counselor Association has partnered with these two entities to provide an opportunity for Michigan school counselors to get those particular sketches. So super excited to be able to share that with all of you. So before we jump into content, I would love to hear your thoughts in regards to your thinking around post-secondary and what this looks like for your students. So probably a little bit of a reflective question to start us off. but really want to hear from you all as to what your thoughts are. Are our students prepared to be successful in their post-secondary aspirations? What do you think? Do we think that they're prepared? And how do we know? Okay, so again, it's a reflective question. We do want to hear some responses from you. So we're going to ask you to go to menti.com. On menti.com, it's going to ask you for a code. You can see the code here below. And I know that Julia is also going to throw the link in the chat as well. So I'm going to kind of split my screens here and go to our Mentimeter and would love to hear from all of you. So again, the question is, let me get this back up here. Are our students prepared to be successful in their post-secondary aspirations? What are your thoughts? And then how do you know that? So we'll give a few minutes just for people to drop their ideas into the Mentimeter. If you are not in yet, again, you can access it in the chat as well as using menti.com and the code above the screen. So would love to hear your thoughts in regards to the question posed. And if for some reason you are not able to get into the Menti, you can always utilize the chat as well, but love to hear your thoughts. Ah, yes. Some are, if they listen to the advice and guidance you provide, but many are not due to family influence. That's interesting. We're actually going to talk a little bit about that later on. Yes, I feel that. Some students are missed and can fall through the cracks, most definitely. Live that growth mindset. They are not, but not yet, right? It doesn't mean they can't be. That just means not yet. Love the growth mindset. Keep your ideas coming. And if you have more than one response in your mind, go ahead and just keep sharing. As we think about the question too, when we say some are and some are not, right? Like also think about like who's not and why. Are there certain reasons why certain students are more prepared than others, and what might be some of those influences? Just something to think about as well. Ah, yes, thinking about generational, like where our students are. So the comment is, I believe some are prepared by their study practices I see, and they desire have the desire, but many are focused on the now and not the future, right? So I think that's important for us to consider generationally. Where are our students? How did they see the world now? Some depend on access to this type of support from their school counselors, right? So that's our on us and our responsibility. Like, what can we do to provide those supports for our students? And I'm gonna give about 30 more seconds. Would love to keep hearing thoughts, and there's some things in the chat as well. Mr. Gothberg, hello, nice to see you, Mark. Yes, you have students who receive industry certifications, successfully completing dual enrollment, but not all students exit with a plan. So there's definitely always room for improvement. And I love most of you are referencing some type of data in regards to how we know this. So I just want you to put a pin in your thoughts right now around that as well in regards to what type of data, like what type of data would we use to identify whether or not our students are ready for post-secondary aspirations. All right, well, keep your thoughts coming. Definitely keep your thoughts coming. We will continue to revisit these ideas. Oops, and I just lost my screen here, sorry. Oh, am I still sharing?
No, we cannot see you yet.
You cannot see my screen now, huh? Oops, sorry, y'all. It disappeared into the abyss of all of my other screens that I have up. Ah, there we go. Get back here. This is what I get when I try to like maneuver around too much, I guess. Okay. Now you can see my screen again, right? There we go. Okay.
There we
Are we
go.
good? Are we good? Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. So loved your responses. Again, it's dependent on who our students are and what they're receiving. Wanted to share a little bit of data with you. So this actually comes from the U Science 2023 report, just to get our thinking around who are our students now and what is their current reality. So just a couple things to highlight, and this may or may not resonate with you, but in that report, it says that 3/4 of high school graduates actually do not feel prepared to make those important choices about their futures. 3/4 of high school graduates feeling not yet prepared. The next bullet speaks to the growing skepticism around the value of four-year degrees and that fewer high school graduates are choosing college pathways. Now, we know as counselors that four-year colleges and universities are not the only way in which students can receive continued education, but we know it is definitely an avenue for advanced careers. Of that, 56% of adults say four-year college is not worth the cost. So, to the comment that was made earlier in regards to family influence, just thinking about the influences that our families are having on our students when they're making their choices. And to the last bullet, it talks about how only a handful of graduates reported taking college and career aptitude tests, but 80% of those students say they would be more engaged in their learning if they had some ideas around what their aptitudes and strengths are. Now, I know in Michigan, a lot of us use Zello. Some of you are using Navient. So we have career development platforms. We have to ask ourselves, are we utilizing them to the best of our abilities? Are our students maximizing them? And are they actually seeing the connection between those assessments in their choices in classes in future? So just something to think about. Some other key findings just to elevate for you. Some of this may surprise you. Again, some of it may not, but just wanted to kind of bring it to light in regards to where our students are. So 45%, which is less than half, pursued a four-year college pathway, and that's actually down from 2019 and 22. So what we're seeing is that we are seeing a decrease in students who are pursuing a four-year college pathway, right? 30% were not aware of any CTE programs. So knowing that that's an opportunity and a pathway to post-secondary aspirations, we have some students that still are not sure of that opportunity. 51% ranked family as the greatest influence on which pathway to pursue, which again, that had come up in one of our comments around the family influence. So we have to ask ourselves, yes, we are informing our students of what post-secondary aspirations could look like, but how are we also informing the families? And where are those conversations grounded in? 31% are not sure where they want to be or in their education or career path. And 65% reported having 5 or fewer conversations with a teacher or counselor about their post-high opportunities. 65%. So to the point that was made earlier, there's more work to be done. There's no doubt that there's amazing things happening in your buildings around post-secondary aspirations. And I think it's critical for us to remember, what else can we do? Who are we missing? What family entities do we need to grab onto to really hit some of these markers home in regards to college readiness? So again, as you look at these statistics, some of it may be affirming, like, yes, this is what I'm seeing in my building, and some of it may be surprising to you. So I'm going to ask you, and we're going to utilize the chat for this. We think about our students in this new generation, and we have to think about the strategies that we incorporate with these students. Answer this question. What are all of the things you currently do around college and career readiness? So think of all the events, the programming, the activities, the opportunities. What are they? And we are going to blow this chat up. So I'm going to ask you to start putting in everything that you do around college and career readiness. And this is relevant for kindergarten, elementary, all the way up to middle school and high school. So what are all the things you do currently around college and career readiness? Go ahead and add it to the chat. No, don't be shy. Let's see what you're doing. What are all the things you do around college career readiness? Is it career fairs, dual enrollment, college visits? What are all the things? There we go. We got some college weeks, hosting college visits throughout the school year. Keep them coming. We have military public service days, thinking about the multiple post-secondary pathways, career day, college rep visits, dual enrollment. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. Maybe there's a creative one out there that's like, I've never done this, but we're going to throw that out there for the folks if they has an idea. You got some Zello utilizers, one-on-one with all seniors. Hopefully, in adding value to this chat, we're also adding some ideas around our own practices in regards to some things that we could also include if we're not doing it yet. Career day, some push-in lessons going into to talk about, college and career in a classroom setting. All All right. So, lot here, right? There's a lot here. You're obviously doing a lot. And so, when I share that data in regards to where our generation is in regards to post-secondary aspirations, it's not because we're not doing anything, right? That when these students leave and they're not sure on their plan and they're saying, "Well, I'm not talking to my school counselor or my teacher." We know that there are things that are happening in our buildings. We know that's happening, right? So we just have to kind of enlighten our thinking to what we're doing with students and what kind of impact we're making on that. So I'm going to give you some language here as and you can keep adding to the chat. As you think about what you're doing around college and career readiness, I want you to think about external capacity builders and internal capacity builders. So you might be starting off like, wow, Terry, I don't know where you're going with this. But what I mean by that is the external capacity builders are a lot of what you're already doing. I'm going to say that's the what and the how. Those are the things, the events, what we're putting together, how we're putting it together. So just some examples here that have already been elevated in the chat: dual enrollment, industry speakers, early college programs if you have an early college program, career dress up days maybe at the elementary or middle schools, field trips, CTE programs, industry certifications. So you're doing those things, right? And that's great. And kids need that because they need exposure to what life is going to look like when they're going off and pursuing the careers they want to pursue, right? But I'm going to stretch your thinking a little bit. And I also want you to think about internal capacity builders. I'm going to tell this is the why. So when we talk about college and career readiness, yes, we need the external capacity builders. But if we're not hitting on the internal capacity builders, we might be missing the mark with our students. And so when we talk about the internal capacity builders, it is things like problem solving, ability to work in a team, communication skills, strong work ethic and leadership. So you might be looking at those and saying like, yeah, I mean, the kids are, we talk about that in one-on-ones, we talk about that with our teachers and it's probably happening. But the question has to then lie in, where are we being intentional about making sure that students understand how those internal capacity builders relate to college career readiness? That is the golden question, right? Because developmentally, they're not going to see those connections yet. So when you're talking to them about communication, leadership, how to work with others, they have to see that connection between future aspirations and current reality. Somebody had mentioned earlier, they're only looking at the now as opposed to the future. Well, what are we teaching them now and stretching their thinking to say, how is this going to apply later, whether that be college, careers, whatever that might be, how will it apply? The fact is, these things on the right hand side actually come from the Job Outlook 2024 report that says this is what employers and colleges want from students. So yes, we are equipping them with all these things on the left-hand side, but we must also equip them with the things on the right. And so when we think about this, I just want you to think about how we can operate amongst all three domains to really support our students. So as school counselors, we know we work in academics, social emotional, in college and career, right? So with that, we have to ask, how are we hitting all those domains when we are focusing on college and career readiness for our students? What does that look like? So we talk about career readiness. There's some things listed here, and these are things that you might keep top of mind. The career interest and aptitude assessments, maybe through Zello or Naviance. Pathway knowledge and course taking patterns. What classes do I have to take in what order to get to where I want to be, right? That's all those career readiness. Work-based learning sits under there, industry credentials. The academic readiness is probably addressed at some point in time, right? In terms of dual enrollment, stackable credentials, maybe what those summative and standardized assessments might mean. So those are probably pieces that are there. What I would ask you is the SEL, the social emotional readiness. How are we equipping our students with the knowledge of how those SEL readiness skills also translate to college and career? So we think about thinking, comprehension, application of knowledge, and solving problems, time management, right? Like I know I had several students in my mind that could have used some time management, test taking skills. All of those are just as critically important, but we oftentimes don't think about that in relation to college and career. Now, I would say this, I work with counselors across the country at all different grade levels. When I was a high school counselor, a lot of our work sat in these two first columns. And we might have done smatterings of the SEL, but we were never intentional about bringing the connection there, right? And I would say the same for elementary and middle school. You might say, hey, look, we're doing all those things in elementary and middle school. We're talking about time management and collaboration and friendship and goal setting. But are we connecting it to post-secondary? Are we making those connections for our students? And if not, how can we be more intentional about that? So just some thoughtfulness around there. And I'm not going to go back to my mentee because that just freaked me out the way I just messed that up earlier. But I do want you to quickly answer this question in the chat. Even though college readiness may look different across various grade levels, elementary, middle to high school, what are some measures of success? So you all had said earlier, we use data. We use data to assess whether or not our students are ready for post-secondary. So what is that data? So now you tell us in the chat, what data are you looking at, or what measures of success do you have in regards to post-secondary readiness? If you can, again, we're not going to go to the Menti. I'm just going to have us keep it straight in the chat. So if you could just add in the chat, that would be awesome. I'm kind of trying to catch up with the chat myself. So what's some data, what are some measurables that you use to assess post-secondary readiness? I like this. I know you said this earlier, Kristen, but this profile of a graduate rubric, that's powerful, right? Like so that we actually have a rubric that we can assess whether or not our students are going to walk across the stage with what we see as a portrait of a graduate. Kimberly says grades, attendance, teacher feedback, student feedback. So now some perception survey around how they're feeling about things, as well as some outcome data around attendance and grades. Keep them coming because this will be helpful for folks that are not thinking about different types of data. So what do we know? What measures do we use to make sure that they are ready? Yes, the amount of kids applying to colleges compared to last year. So how many college applications are being submitted? Leadership skills. Oh, I like that. All right, Carlotta. All right. You got some leadership skills, so student organizations and what their involvement looks like. Maybe sure you're tracking that. ILP alignment. So thinking about your EDP process and are we tracking those completion rates? I'll give about 30 more seconds. Would love to keep blowing this chat up with some ideas. Yes, Jennifer. So graduation rates, on track reports, right? Thinking about what does on track look like for our 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th graders in relation to graduation. PSAT, EDP completion rate, CT program. So there's a lot of data out there, right? Like we have our measurables. We have to just figure out like what is this data telling us? And I would push our thinking a little bit because I know when I was a practicing school counselor, there were things I did well and there were things I didn't do so well, right? And thinking through the lines of like, okay, cool, like we can get the measurables and students ready until they walk across the stage, but are we equipping them with the skills after graduation to be successful, right? That we are not just trying to graduate students, but we're taking them to and through whatever post-secondary options they want. And so thinking through the lens of, okay, you're equipped to this point, we're passing the baton to wherever you go after high school in hopes that you are going to continue to be successful there. So I would push your thinking a little bit to even think, are there ways in which you can measure how many students that have graduated your school are actually obtaining four-year degrees or advanced degrees? How many of them are actually going on to a junior college or industry certification and receiving those? Because that data is just as powerful. That data is really powerful to say, not only did we do what we needed to do while they were in our building, but we know after they graduated and they went on to whatever aspirations they had, they were also successful there. So just thinking through the lens of what that could look like could also give some more insight in regards to the impact that you're making. So I want to share another resource with you that could be pretty enlightening. When I first saw this, I'm like, it really hit home what I was talking about. This actually comes from Chicago Public Schools, and it has predictors of post-secondary success. So the resource is actually hyperlinked here. If you want to go ahead and read it, feel free to go read it. But just to highlight a couple things, what this report does is it actually breaks down what does it mean to be college and career ready? What are the predictors of post-secondary success across all grade levels? So you're going to hear some language or see some language in that report in my upcoming slides that talk about indicators. So indicators that has a usual like a threshold involved to say, hey, if a student has a 3.0 or higher, that means they're more likely to be prepared for college readiness. So that will probably feel very familiar to you. But there's also some other factors that come into play, like a predictor. And what that means is that there's no established numeric threshold, but that there are measures that are strongly correlated with improved post-secondary options. So there's some connections there in regards to we can predict that a student will be post-secondary ready if and when they meet these measures. And then the other one is other, like other potential factors, which kind of speak to those SEL factors we mentioned earlier about identified skills, attributes that are identified as important to student success. So what I love, love, love about this report is it really gives us guidance in regards to what we should be looking for. So I don't know if there are any elementary folks on the call. If there are, hello, thank you for being here. You're amazing. You start the foundation of what we do as school counselors, right? And you have a role in college and career readiness. So oftentimes in elementary, it's like, well, what does that look like? It's they're graduating years and years from now, but you're setting a foundation. And there are indicators as early as those elementary ages that can identify whether or not our students are ready for post-secondary success. So if you're like, as an elementary counselor, like, I need some ideas, like, what data should I be looking at? It's a little bit more challenging. Third grade reading levels and absenteeism will tie most directly to post-secondary outcomes, even at early ages. Okay. Some of the predictors and other factors might feel more familiar to you. Maybe some attention span in classrooms or classroom participation. Sometimes in elementary, you'll see students being measured on cooperation, responsibility, self-control. Yes, those are all predictors of post-secondary outcomes. So yes, you're teaching students how to work within a classroom setting, how to hold themselves responsible, how to have those skills they need to be successful in classrooms and in friendships. And that also connects to college and career readiness. So it might feel like it's so far down the line, but it's imperative. It's a foundation. Because the reality is this, developmentally, at that age, they're so creative and imaginative, right? Like they just the world is theirs. The world is their oyster. And what starts to happen is that they start to see themselves or not see themselves in certain places in the future, right? Because gender and culture start to have a stronger influence at those early stages. So there's actually research out there that talks about as early as like kindergarten, first, second grade, students are already seeing themselves or not seeing themselves in certain post-secondary aspirations, meaning my family doesn't go to college. Nobody goes to college. Why would I see myself as a college student? Nobody that looks like me or comes from my background works in these particular settings. I can't see myself being a doctor, a lawyer, a teacher, fill in the blank. And so if you think about that, at such those early stages, by the time they get to high school, those are some fixed mindsets potentially, right? And too late to kind of go back and unravel that. And so at the elementary level, it's critical for us to think about who are we exposing our students to? What kind of family conversations are we having with our community so that they can also be more enlightened into possibilities? So it's critical, even at those early stages. It sets the foundation. And, in middle school, that fun middle school, again, indicators, what are they? Absenteeism again. I thought this was an interesting one. School transfers, right? So if we have a transient student population, that can sometimes prohibit them from being successful in post-secondary later on. Behaviors obviously play a part in that. Your ELA and math courses in Algebra 1. So do they have opportunities to take Algebra 1 in 8th grade? So again, those might be measurables that feel familiar to you, but again, going back to the predictors and other factors, there are other things there. Grit, growth, resilience, initiative, tenacity. Those things also will contribute to post-secondary success. The socially emotional decision making skills. I had a student that just graduated from a middle school, just moved on, right? And like those decision making skills are critical. And so we have to think about developmentally, where are our middle school students? They're constantly trying to figure out where they fit in. They're constantly trying to figure out like, who am I? What strengths do I have? How can I get people to like me? What groups can I be a part of? And so knowing that's where they are developmentally, it's critical at that point in time that we equip them with their strengths. Here are the strengths that you have. Here's the assets that you bring to the table in regard to future career goals. Because that's what they're looking for. Like where do I fit? How do I fit in? What strengths do I have? What value do I bring? So developing that awareness and those connections early between what strengths you have and future planning can be powerful. Last but not least, high school, right? And this is the end of the road where we're definitely hitting the markers in regards to what we're looking at. So I would imagine for the high school folks that are on the call right now, many of these indicators probably feel pretty familiar to you. These are a lot of those indicators were ones that were indicated in the chat with grade point average, dual enrollment, FAFSA completion even, AP courses. But what's different are the predictors and other factors. Look at these. Possession of core SEL skills, self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, time management. Where are we teaching them? Right? Like where are those coming into play? Because those are just as critical. Because we can get students to college or careers or post-secondary on the things on the left, but for them to be successful and actually complete, we need those skills on the right-hand side. And so when you think about that, where they are developmentally, they're also in a place to figure out who am I aside from my family? Like what's my unique identity? And they are getting this point of like, I'm about to leave potentially, right? I'm leaving friends behind, I'm leaving family behind. And those are some pretty critical life decisions. And so thinking through the lens of how can we equip our high school students with the confidence, the ability, the self-awareness to be successful in those places. And one that I just want to point out for developmental activities, these family and student values comparison, huge. I don't know how many conversations I would have with students to say, hey, Mrs. T, here's what I'm aspiring to do as a high school graduate. And the parents have a completely different mindset. And then that can be a tricky conversation, right? And so we as counselors have to navigate that to say, okay, well, how can we come to consensus so that we can all move forward together collectively, right? But those are real things. And I know CTE was mentioned and industry credentials and work-based learning was mentioned a lot in the chat. Definitely. I always say they have to live it, breathe it, feel it, do it in order to know that that's what they want to do, right? And so, how can we expose our seniors to those opportunities or high school students with those opportunities so that they can live it, breathe it, and feel it so that way they know that that's exactly what they want? So, just want to equip you with a couple of ideas around what this could look like in relation to developmentally and what measures. And maybe there's something here that you're like, yep, I'm doing that. That's great. I'm hitting the right mark. And maybe there's some things that you're like, okay, that would be great. I need to tighten that up a little bit, or I need to be more thoughtful or intentional about that for the upcoming year. I'm going to give you right now gold. Okay, so I'm going to give you some gold. If you do not know anything about these Ask a Conversation starters, you need to dig into them. I say often that this is probably Aska's most hidden tool that gives so much value to what we're talking about here. So each of these are hyperlinked, and actually I can throw them in the chat at a different time because I know you don't have the link right now, but you can Google them as well. But there are career conversation starters for elementary, middle, and high school, and it speaks on behalf of what questions should we be asking? What activities should we be doing with not only our students, but our families? Because we know, again, those families play a critical role in these decisions. And so if you're needing some ideas around how or what are some cool ways in which we can engage in these conversations, definitely check out the career conversation starters because it's super helpful. All right. With that being said, another gold nugget that I'm going to give you is this opportunity that we're going to talk about in regards to what type of professional development you can receive to get some of those college and career sketches. So I'm going to hand it over to Julia, and you would like to share your screen, right, Julia? So I can stop?
Yes.
All right.
Alrighty. I'm gonna go ahead and share. Let me see if you can see my right screen. Beautiful. Well, that was amazing. And when you are a parent, you always think about your child, what you did, and they passed the middle school, high school. So amazing conversation, amazing tool. I appreciate it. So what I'm going to do now, I want to walk us through the online courses that we will implement it as a implementing partner with the Hatching Result. But I'm going to start with some quick story, seeing this book and Dr. Trish and Julie Hart in this picture. So when I first met with Dr. Trish during my very first year as a school counselor, I just finished my master program and started as the only and first school counselor in Title I school. And I attended one of her sessions at a local conference in Orange County where she talked about the data and how to actually use it to drive your school counseling program. I bought her textbook that day, and I'm going to be honest, I had just finished the 3 years grad school, so I wasn't exactly excited about reading another big textbook. But when I started, I loved it. But it was also so challenging to digest it at first by myself, but the ideas were powerful. So using that information, I literally built a counseling program at my school from the ground up. So fast forward 10 years, now I'm with the Study Smart Tutors, and we partner with the Hatching Results to create the same concept in an online course formatting. Only now they are designed to be engaging, digestible, and fun. And I really honestly wish that I had it back then. But I made sure that as we develop them, they will be practical, easy, and apply right away for you to use it. So we have two pathway. One of the options that we offer is the data pathway, which is for K-12 counselor. It's including 7 courses, again, based on the Dr. Hatch's best-selling text with co-author with Dr. Julie Hartline. This course walk through to how to design data-informed comprehensive school counseling program with the tier system of support. And you'll explore practical strategies for using data in planning, implementing, evaluating, and improving your work so you can make the confident, measurable decision that directly helps students. And the best parts, these courses are built by school counselor for school counselors and fully approved for sketch credit here in Michigan, which I will walk us through in the details. And then now let's look at the second pathway that we are offering. It's the middle school post-secondary readiness. And this pathway is designed specifically for middle school counselor and focus on helping students start building their post-secondary plans early in a way that feel relevant and motivating them. It's including 3 courses, middle school post-secondary readiness, and introduction to planning and readiness, exploring different post-secondary options and understanding the value of a college degree. And number 2 is the program development, where you learn how to design intentional programs with the multi-tier support system, and again, using the data effectively and support diverse student population. And then the course number 3 will be the implementing purposeful program and services, which dives into practical strategies for creating a culture of post-secondary aspiration, academic planning, career exploration, and even they are going to touch in the college affordability. So just like the first pathway, these courses are online, self-paced, approved for sketch credit here in Michigan, and including the required college and career hours. I'm going to talk about it in a second. And they built to give you the real strategies. You can take this straight back to your school. And we all know that. We're all talking about it on the chat too, because the earlier we start the conversation with the students, the more option and confidence they have later on. All right, now we covered the 2 pathways, and I want us to take a closer look at each individual courses we are offering in the middle school post-secondary pathway. So this pathway, again, designed specifically for middle schooler. And then we were having a chat with Terry this week about we are even thinking this is designed for the middle school counselor, but it's the higher elementary also will be really good at taking good advantage of these courses. Again, as we know that this is such a critical window for shaping and how students think about their futures, not only the academic, but the habit, skill, aspiration they build now, and they can stage for the high school success, and not only the high school success as we hear it, and the beyond. So of course, number 1, the middle school post-secondary, it's all about laying that foundation. It's introduced the students the idea that there are many pathways after high school, college, career, military, technical programs, and helps them to see the value of further education and training. This course explore how to match students' strength and interest with different opportunities and give strategies for keeping them motivated by making their learning relevant to their future goals. Like the other course in this pathway, it's packed with practical. I'm never going to get tired of saying that. The ready-to-use activities, you can bring it to your school right away. And it's approved for the sketch credit, again, including the college and career requirements for your state. The second one is probably my favorite one, if I need to pick one. This is the program development for middle school post-secondary readiness, because this course is all about moving from ideas to action. And it focuses on building intentional data-driven program within the multi-tier, multi-domain system of support. And we'll look at it, how to use the data to identify students' needs and design the programming that reaches all students and create a targeted support for those who need it the more. And it's just not a theory. As you know, with the hatching results, it's not only the talk, the theory, you walk with the strategies, you walk with the example that you can apply it right away and build structured, sustainable program that truly impact in your school community. And then the last one is the implementing purposeful program and services. And this course is about bringing your plans to life. So it's focused on creating the school-wide culture of post-secondary aspiration, where every student see college and career readiness as part of their everyday learning. And how impactful and how big is this? So you'll explore ways to connect academic planning directly to students' goal, with career exploration in the middle school activities, starting introducing the conversation around the college affordability and financial aid early. The goal is to, again, give you the practical, ready-to-use strategies and help the students be ready, not only high school, but beyond the high school, but also engaging in the families in the process. This courses talks about that. So everyone feel informed and supported along the way. Now that we talked through the courses, I just want to talk about a little bit how you can actually take the part in exam. So we made this course is as flexible as possible because I suffer with the textbook, yet that you don't have to. So they are 100% online, self-paced. You can complete them whenever it works for you. You'll get interactive activities, practical example, downloadable tools that you can start using your counseling program right away. So each pathway that I'm gonna walk us through on the website now available in the bundle at a special discount rate for the Michigan School Counselor Association members, and all courses are fully approved by Sketch Credit here in Michigan, including the 25-hour college and career requirement. So this way, I feel like you're not just checking off the hours, but you are also gaining the skills, the strategies, and the resources that will have a direct impact on your work with your students. One of the things is, again, the hatching results talks about data, put the data shirts all the time. So one things that we are also most proud of with this course, how interactive, engaging, but it's also talks about the data. And each course has the pre and post test, as we always ask about the counselor that you have the pre and post test. So you can measure to your growth along with the assessment that help you apply what you learn. There are also some check for understanding built right in, things like drag and drop off activities, multiple choice, fill in the blanks, true and false, and a lot of reflection prompts. From a reporting standpoint, everything is trackable with just one click. Easily you can generate your data that shows your progress, your reflection, completion results, something that's useful not only for your own records, but maybe also sharing with the administration or professional development tracking or with your own district or the group level that you are working on. So again, the goal, make sure you are not just earning the sketch hours, but also gaining real measurable skills that you can take straight back to your work with the students. One-click reporting that you can exactly see. And maybe if you're a school counselor leader in the room, and now you want to see how your team of the middle school counselor are doing, or the high schooler, or the district level, that you can do with the one-click report, grader report, that show the quizzes, grades, document that you work as you move through each lesson. And then pre and post course survey, activation completion, and the login. So this is a great one to advocate your own work and sharing with your district. Also, again, the completing your sketch credit. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and switch the gears and walk you through the website. So I can put up on the chat on the website too, so you can exactly how to sign up the course. And I'm going to also show you, let me switch this screen here, where to find the course option, how the bundle works, how to make sure you are selecting and the best meet your needs. And we also gonna look how the sketch hours apply, how to submit your hours, how many credits from each that you can register, and then have your discounted price to get started. Okay, can you see my screen in the perfect? So hatchingorders.com/Michigan, there's a specific for your state. So you can see the courses here, that what I just explained about the courses, two pathway, which one that you will think that will be better for you or for your needs. And then two options here that I want us to talk. It's the one is two course bundle. Two course bundle comes from the 25 college readiness sketch and 25 career readiness sketch. And you can pick two of any three. And when you click here, you can click one and then two, and then you can confirm. That will go to your shopping cart. Or you can decide to do, you need more sketch hours and you also want to really interested in the data course bundle. So there's the 6-course bundle that will give you all three post-secondary readiness courses, and then you can also pick any 3 use of the data courses. So let's give it a try. This one that we're already selected for you, and then you can make a decision. Okay, I'm going to do data. I am so into the miracles and challenging, and I'm going to also do system change, so I can confirm. System is really nice and ready to go, that you can do it. And then when you select it, you can go ahead and check it out. There's the discounts already built it in this website that you can create an account and do that. What I'm going to show you the last thing is the sketch hour. So let's say you complete it, and then you are going to click in the website that how you're going to request the form. That's something with your state that you have to pay $15 per course. And then when you complete it, you will receive from the hatching results that completion of certification of completion. That's what you are going to submit it here. You are going to add your information. You are going to pick your courses, which one that you did with us, and then add a file with your certification, and then submit your sketch hours here. And one more thing that we are not really talk about it, but I can mention it here. We are also having the partnership with the Cal State University San Marcos. If you're in need for the grad school credits on the scale up, or it's something that you professionally want to do more, that you can also ask for transcript, because those courses also give you the 1 credit graduate level course, completing each one of them in the data pathway. And then the timing talks about here, because if you like to have your transcript, that you need to follow the Cal State San Marcos semester system to earn your transcript and credit. What we are saying about each course, that usually, again, self-paced, it's about the 10 to 15 hours, but I've seen folks are pacing with the 8 hours. Some folks want to do in the group, they will do a little bit more time between the 12 to 15 hours. And then, but the good part is that the course are not expiring the semester. You can take your time and you can do with your own pace. That's about the course. So I'm going to pause it here and then see the chat, see if I have any questions to get it. Okay, you can get, yes, 15 hours that each one, 25 from the one course, 25 from the another one. Okay, I'm waiting a couple seconds to see if any question about this technical stuff that we've just go over. And then what I want us to finish is that some feedback from not only the school counselor, but also educator who are already taking these courses. Because sometimes the best way to see the value is to hear from the people who have been through it. So Down, school counselor, said this course was an excellent use of my time, informational, applicable, great resource. And Amber is the school psychologist that shared that it helped her to be more intentional in her work with the students in designing her curriculum. And I also love to throw the teachers here, even that the course really designed for the school counselor, but also the teacher take the advantage. And teacher told us that after over 100 hours of PD this summer, that was the last summer, this was the most helpful for understanding how to better support students and collaborate with her counseling team. Another school counselor, Randy, appreciate the actionable tools. And then finally, Tricia said the information about the nice counselor syndrome. I just want to put that one up specifically because I had that syndrome, was powerful in helping and her recognize and address the challenges that could hold her program back. So the common theme, the courses are again practical, relevant, immediately useful, and designed to make the difference in how you serve your students. I just, as we wrap up, I just want to come back and where we started. Again, I still remember that the first year as a school counselor sitting in Trish session, learning about how data could completely transform a school counseling program. Back then, I had the big textbook, lots of ideas, and a little bit overwhelming. And now through this partnership, we're taking some powerful concepts and turn them into the courses that are really practical, really engaging, really easy to use. And so you can apply right away without feeling buried in the information. So where you choose the data pathway or middle school post-secondary pathway, you are getting the tools that will help you to continue serving your students. And again, especially the first generation and historically underserved students in a way that's intentional, it's measurable and impactful. So thank you so much for spending this time with us. I am gonna pause here to open up for questions. and pass it back to Terry.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you for sharing this Julia, sorry. Just super excited about what this could mean for the state of Michigan. I know, I'm just going to speak transparently. I know as a state it's been somewhat of a challenge to get some of these college career readiness sketches in regards to the relevant college career readiness sketches. I mean, we all are all about professional development, expanding our practices. We want to make sure it's done with intentionality and things that we can actually use. So I'm just excited to provide this, that we can provide this opportunity to actually provide applicable professional development that will hit the mark in regards to licensure and make an impact for your students. So good information here. If you have any other questions to follow up, you can see there's some emails that are presented up here. So if you have any questions about Hatch Results specifically, just go to office@hatchresults.com. And then if there's anything about the online courses that you want to know more about, you can go to info at Study Smart Tutors. So again, thank you for joining us, Michigan people. I hope you have an amazing start to your school year. I know you're all probably about to be back in your offices if you're not already. So can't thank you enough for everything that you do for your students in the state of Michigan, and just excited about this opportunity. So thank you for joining us. Have a great school year.